Right, well, 7 o'clock in the morning, on the 3rd of August. It's coming up for, well, 9.5 weeks on T. And I think it would be fair to say that I've sort of had a rough couple of months so far. Been having a lot of anxiety. I mean, there's a lot of sort of like stress around at the moment anyway, but I think with the tea, my response to stress has been sort of like different, and it sort of suddenly dawned on me just quite how anxious I am at the moment. So that's what I wanted to talk about this morning. I've got quite a big day today, feels big anyway, but I've been off work for the last 4 weeks. Just psychologically, I have not been in a position to do my job. And I've got a meeting at 11 o'clock this morning with manager and I think human resources and hopefully my trade union, and me to look at my current employment situation. Obviously that's sort of a big worry in itself, because I know that my capacity to do my role as it is sort of compromised at the moment. Obviously, sort of, I'm hoping this is going to be a temporary thing. The other guys that I've sort of spoken to about it seem to sort of say that the first sort of 2 or 3 months is the worst. I know other guys are able to do their jobs and that while they're on hormones, but maybe it's the sort of person I am and the underlying things that I have that made it a particular challenge. I don't know. I'd love to find out more. But what it has sort of done for me is definitely impacted on my day-to-day living and capability of doing things. And I'm trying to get back on my feet again at the moment. Yeah, so it's probably an opportune time to say thanks to everyone out there, actually, because there's a lot of empathy out there in the trans community, and not just the other trans people, but also sort of partners, friends, everybody who seems to be around, and that there's an awful lot of empathy and a lot of love between us, and that's been so important. God knows how I would have done without the internet, really, to be able to understand that it's, I really am not going mad at the moment, but this will pass and it will get easier. But it's fucking, excuse my French, hard when you're faced with the reality of the world out there and how you deal with it. Things throw me completely. I had to travel to London a week ago Friday, I was taking part in some research, a clinical psychology doctorate student was doing a piece of research on trans guys and their friendships, and there's so little research that's done out there specifically for around the issues for trans men, that I wanted to take part in it. So it involved me getting a train down to London, and I went down on my own, and at the station picked up, I wanted a cup of tea for the journey, went into the little station cafe, and there's two guys working, one guy sort of taking the orders and doing cigarettes and sweets and stuff, and the other guy pouring the teas and the coffees and things. So I look at the first guy and say, could I have a cup of tea, please? He says, well, that'll be £1, madam. And it's one of those moments where you got like him, his mate, and other people sort of up around, and I just want a cup of tea without any hassle. So I didn't say anything. But then sort of like the other guy started pouring the tea, and matey was just sorting out the next person or whatever. And anyway, the second guy pours me tea and then asks me for another quid. So I was like, well, I've already paid you, mate. And so he just sort of like checks over and that, looking over, sort of getting eye contact, and sort of says, and the first guy sort of turns around and says, it's okay, she's paid. And the second fella like just was, what the hell are you talking about? He's a guy. And I looked at him and I said, yeah, I'm a guy. And that confused look on the first guy's face, and then like there's this, is there going to be a public debate now about am I male, female, whatever, and that. So I got my tea and sort of scarpered off and got the train, but set me up right bad, and just it was constantly playing on my mind when I got down to London, and I ended up sort of like in Soho at about like 8 o'clock in the evening, feeling pretty dissociated really. I mean, it's a bit of a mad sort of time, isn't it? Friday night, everyone out drinking or whatever, but Soho's one of those places I know fairly well from my time when I used to live in London, and it's a very easy place to disappear, to drop out when things is tough. And I had that moment like spinning, thinking, the hell is happening to me? And anyway, I knew I had to get home, got myself home, but it sort of set me up quite bad about how vulnerable I can feel sometimes. And yeah, so it's a bit depressing today, really, isn't it? There's lots of good things, I guess. I think what it is at the moment. The love around me, my little niece, both my nieces have been really cool. And, well, all my nieces actually, my grown-up niece too, and my grown-up nephew. But I'm so lucky to have people around me who at least are really trying to understand. I've got a lot of love around me. I really feel for other guys who haven't got that, and I guess I'm very privileged, and very, very grateful for that, and if anything I can do through helping people understand that, you know, yeah, for some of us, and that the early stages are really hard, you know, and it changes your brain, it changes the way in which you think. For me, you know, I've been always very a right-brained adult, very emotional and intuitive, and it's not like I've lost that, but that's sort of, you know, being is changing, and you know, my sense of myself is changing, um, which is happening at a level that I guess I hadn't really anticipated. Um, you know, it's a strange thing to be like trying to be on the outside looking in, explaining the things that happen, knowing that I feel I have a responsibility to try and explain what is happening. Well, I have to. I mean, I have to talk to my GP. You know, I'm asking for help. You know, dealing with the anxiety. You know, which has reached sort of quite very difficult levels at times. You know, my whiskers are sort of just constantly on alert, and you know, that's a struggle in that. So I've asked for some sort of CBT, sort of mindfulness therapy through sort of like mental health, local mental health. So my GP's sort of done a referral for that today. I've sort of self-referred to sort of like a mind group. Um, you know, I'm doing what I can, sort of self-help wise, aware that, you know, I've got some practical stuff I've got to sort out, which is, you know, my legal sort of like side of things, which is I'm really struggling with, because it's all connected with, you know, I've got a lot of financial sorting out to do, still, feeling acutely needing my own space and my independence back, and that is going to take a lot of focused work, which is hard when you can't bloody concentrate and keep your attention sort of focused, because that's been one of the side effects of puberty for me. Actually, I was talking to some LGBT youth about that, and talking to the guys specifically about what they remember, you know, when they were a lot closer to puberty first time round, and they were very much, yeah, concentration really does go, sleep, you know, all of it. I mean, you know, we expect an awful lot sometimes of our young people, I think, you know, when, you know, adolescence is such a challenging time, physically and mentally, and, you know, we're putting them through so much sort of like, you know, so much is at stake with choices and decisions that they make or are made for them at that age, and no wonder, you know, school is so hard, particularly for teenage boys. But yeah, anyway, I digress. I guess probably that's about it really. I've run over, it's 14 minutes, so I probably won't do this now.